was a disastrous season for Arizona. The Wildcats entered the year with very high expectations, and they probably would have met those expectations had Jedd Fisch stuck around. But that chain reaction in the coaching carousel changed everything, right? Nick Saban announced his retirement, which means Alabama landed Kalen DeBoer from Washington, which meant Jedd Fisch went to Washington, which meant Arizona was stuck hiring Brent Brennan from San Jose State. Was not a great hire, but one they had to make because they were kind of running out of time. The Wildcats, again, 10-3 in 2023, finished 11th in the country, entered last year with high expectations, entered the year ranked 21st in the nation, started 3-1, but then lost 7 of their final 8 games, a lone win coming over Houston, 6 of their 8 losses by double digits, and unfortunately, it looks like they're in for another rough season in 2025, one that could mark the end of the Brent Brennan era, and the Wildcats maybe pivot to someone better and someone that could last them a lot longer. You take a look at the offense for Arizona this year. This is a unit that, again, entered the year with high expectations back in 2024. Noah Fifita was coming back after a very solid 2023 campaign. Tetairoa McMillan was coming back, and yet this offense decreased significantly. Went from 34.6 points per game in 2023 down to 21.8 points per game in 2024. Their offense got worse by 12.8 points per game, nearly 2 touchdowns. They decreased from 448 yards per game to 355 yards per game. That's a 93-yard decrease. They were held to 24 points or less in 8 of their games last year. Again, it was mind-boggling to see such a good offense in 2023 be this bad in 2024 with so much talent returning. Now you look at what they've got coming back this year. Luckily, Noah Fifita does return, and we hope he can return to that 2023 form. Fifita nearly threw for 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, so not a good ratio. If Arizona wants to get back to the postseason, he's going to have to get back to that 2023 form. But the question is, can he do it without his security blanket? Tetairoa McMillan, who is now the program's all-time leading receiver, had over 3,400 reception yards in his career with the Wildcats, had over 1,300 reception yards and 8 touchdowns last year. He's gone, NFL draft pick. Who do we turn to? Who does Arizona turn to, right? That's the question. They do add Luke Weissong in from New Mexico, had over 800 yards last year with the Lobos. Chris Hunter comes in, or does return, I should say. Chris Hudson comes in from Washington State, had over 600 yards with the Cougars last year. So, some talent there, but no one nearly as good as McMillan. Ismail Mahdi does come in from Texas State at running back, had over 2,300 rushing yards with the Bobcats in 2 years, and 7 transfers are in on the offensive line. So the offense might not be as bad as people think, but Fifita is the key here. His decision-making and his chemistry that he builds with a brand new core of receivers will determine whether or not this offense can return to form or whether or not they're going to stay about the same. Defensively, 9 starters are back, and God, we know they need as much help as possible, right? This Wildcats team was 10.7 points per game worse defensively last year. They gave up 31.8 points per game. They gave up 174 rushing yards per game. But, again, they have a lot of experience coming back, and that's a good thing. That plays a big role. Their top 4 tacklers do return. The defensive line is led by their sack leader, Trey Smith, had 4.5 sacks last season. Deshaun McKnight is in from UT Martin, had 4 sacks last year at the FCS level. The linebacking core looks to be fairly solid, led by their number 2 tackler last year in Tay Brown, 69 tackles and 2.5 sacks. Riley Wilson, 136 tackles and 13 sacks during his 2-year career with Montana, is in at linebacker. That's a really underrated pickup there. And the secondary might have some talent. Their top tackler from last year, Dalton Johnson, returns, had 94 tackles in 2024. Genesis Smith, what a name. 3rd on the team in tackles last year with 3 picks. Also returns. 3 starters as a whole return in the secondary for Arizona State, a secondary that gave up nearly 240 passing yards per game. The defense should improve, the offense should improve, but can the Wildcats handle what looks like a very difficult schedule, especially in conference play? They draw all the top teams in the Big 12. That's unfortunate, right? I mean, you look at it. They draw Kansas State. It's a non-conference game. They still got to play them. They draw Kansas State, Iowa State, Baylor, Arizona State. And those road games at Houston, Colorado, and Cincinnati are not easy by any means. This is a very, very difficult schedule for the Wildcats. You can't help but wonder, is this team good enough? Are they physical enough? Are they talented enough? Are they coached well enough to get to the postseason? That is the million-dollar question, and really getting to 6-6 would be considered a success. Tell you right now, I think they start 2-1 before their bye week. They'll beat Hawaii, they'll beat Weber State, they will lose to Kansas State, although again, that is a non-conference game, so it will not affect them in the standings. Last year, these 2 teams met, also in a non-conference game. Arizona struck first, 7-0. Thought maybe they could hang with the Kansas State and Manhattan. was not the case, right? They allowed 31 straight points. They had no red zone trips after the first quarter, so that Kansas State defense was stifling. I expect the same again this year. The Wildcats are even better than they were last year. Talented running team, really stout defense. Should have enough to come win this game on the road. Arizona 2-1 heading into the bulk of conference play. Welcome to the Big 12, their first real conference game on the road at Iowa State. The Big 12 runner-up last year. They're going to lose that game in Ames. This is a team that has one of the best defenses within this conference. Has a veteran quarterback in Rocco Beck. Their top 2 rushers return. I mean, Iowa State has all the pieces necessary to go on to win the Big 12 this year and finally make the college football playoff. Keep in mind, last year, a huge year for them. Even though they fell short in the Big 12 championship game, their first ever double-digit win season in program history. Iowa State on pace to do it again this year. I don't really think the Wildcats have much of a shot on the road. They're 2-2, but get them back above 500 with a win at home over Oklahoma State. The Cowboys, I'm afraid, are going to have another really rough season. They were 3-9 last year, which was a major shock. If they were to go 3-9 or 4-8 this year, it wouldn't be as big of a shock, especially with as much inexperience and youth as they have. Last year, crazy experience, fell really short. This year, hardly any experience, a lot of questions on both sides of the ball. Wouldn't be a shock to see them struggle. I think they do, and I think Arizona takes care of business at home to get to that 3-2 mark. So, a bit of a rough start to an extent, but still above 500, halfway to bowl eligibility. But after that, interesting games against BYU and Houston. To me, both of these games are winnable for Arizona. They are winnable for Arizona if this team can improve like we expect them to, or like they should. This BYU team is a basket case. We don't know what to expect from BYU. How big does the loss of Jake Retzlaff affect this team? That's the million-dollar question. Because the trenches look to be pretty good. LJ Martin is back. Chase Roberts is back. The defense looks to be pretty solid. But if they don't have good enough quarterback play, they're not going to be as good as they were last year. I think even if Retzlaff was there, they take a bit of a step back. Having said all of that, BYU does have Arizona's number, right? Arizona has lost 5 straight regular season meetings to the Cougars. And I look at this game, I really think LJ Martin, for the running back for BYU, could exploit this Arizona defense that, again, gave up 174 rushing yards per game. This BYU secondary is actually really, really good. So you can't help but wonder, if Noah Fafita doesn't return to form, or they don't build chemistry with the wide receivers, do we expect Arizona to be able to win this game on the ground? I don't think so. Could BYU win this game on the ground? Absolutely, especially if the Arizona defense, especially the front 7, hasn't improved. I think it's close, but I think BYU is able to get this win on the road, and then Arizona faces another tough secondary the very next week at Houston, a secondary that actually thinks better than BYU's, could be one of the best in this conference. Houston's offense should improve. The defense will be stout. The Cougars had the 12th ranked defense in the nation last year. Could be just around the same this year. I think Arizona falls short on the road. So a 3-2 start turns into a 3-4 start heading into their second bye week. And they've got to start picking up the pace. There is some talent here, but it's a very brutal schedule. But the season's far from over. They come out of the bye, they take on Colorado. That's a winnable game. Especially because Colorado loses so much. They lose Shedeur Sanders. They lose their top 4 pass catchers. They lose Travis Hunter, who was their best defensive player and their best pass catchers. They lose a lot across the board. But last year, Colorado won by 27. Colorado won 34-7. I don't think Arizona is 27 points better now. I think Colorado's a little bit worse, but not that much worse, especially at home. In Boulder, I think the Buffalo's defense, surprisingly, does better than people realize. Their front 7 actually has some talent, could create some pressure on this Arizona offensive line that, again, has 7 new transfers coming in. How quickly do they gel? Can they protect their quarterback? Can Fafita make the right reads? I'm going to say no on the road. They're 3-5, and now the pressure really is mounting. 3-5, 4 games left. Got to win 3 of them. Kansas, Cincinnati, Baylor, Arizona State, a very, very tall task. They keep their hopes alive with a win at home over Kansas, and here's why. Noah Fafita, again, I think he's a very talented quarterback. I think he really is good. Got a great arm. I do expect him to bounce back a little bit. The weakness on Kansas' team right now, their biggest weakness is their secondary. They've got major questions in the secondary. So at home, their backs against the wall against a Kansas secondary that's got some major issues. I think Arizona lights them up in the passing game, finds a way to keep those bowl hopes alive at least for another week. They beat the Jayhawks, who will flirt with a bowl game again this year. Just missed out last year going 5-7, got too hot too late. This year, I think they are able to get there, but one of their wins will not come against Arizona. The Wildcats defend their home field. They're 4-5, staying alive. Still got to win 2 of their final 3, and I'm here to tell you, I don't think they win any of them. And I do hate to say that. I do hate to say that, but I look at those final 3 games. Cincinnati's a team you shouldn't sleep on, right? They are a team that if they can learn to have better in-game management, especially late-game management, Brendan Sorsby takes better care of the football, this team could surprise some people. Veteran quarterback, solid running core, really good defense, underrated defense, I should say. The Bearcats are going to have enough to win this game at home, especially off a week of rest. The Bearcats are coming off a bye week, so they're going to win that game. And then they play 2 of the top teams in the conference to close out the year, Baylor and Arizona State. Yes, they get to host the Bears. Maybe they give them a fight with it being in Tucson at home, but Baylor, I think, could be fighting for a Big 12 championship appearance, maybe even a playoff appearance. They've got the edge at quarterback in Sawyer Robertson. They've got the edge at the wide receiver position. They've got the edge at the running back position. They've got 8 starters back on defense. I mean, Baylor owns the edge in every aspect of this game, with the exception of home field advantage. The Bears will win it. And then on the road at Arizona State, Wildcats lost by 42 last year. They were outgained 643 to 210. They were outgained by over 400 yards last year. Do I think that happens again? No. Maybe they cut the deficit in half and go from losing from 42 to 21. But Arizona State is still one of the best teams in this conference. Sam Leavitt returns. Kanye Udoh coming in from Army is a huge pickup at running back. Jordan Tyson's back as a 1,000-yard wide receiver. They've got, 9 guys back on defense that could be even stronger than it was last year. And factor in, it's at Arizona State. Wildcats don't stand a chance there, even though it is a rivalry game. Anything can happen, but not feeling it. And we've got Arizona going 4-8 for the second year in a row. And I hate doing that, because I look at this team on paper, and it's like the talent's there to be better than 4-8. And maybe you think they can get a win over BYU or Houston or Colorado. I think those are probably the 3 most likely wins that you could adjust. And if they can win just 2 of those 3 games that we had pegged as losses, they go bowling. I think this team is more competitive than they were last year, that's for sure. 6 of their 8 losses last year were by double digits. I don't think that happens again. I think Arizona is very competitive. I think they'll find themselves in contention in some of these games late, but I don't think they have enough to pull them out in the end. Got them going 4-8, probably going to mark the end of the Brent Brennan era. Again, that was a rushed hire. It was a bad hire. I know he did okay at San Jose State, but the track record wasn't all that great. A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. That's kind of what happened for Brent Brennan during his during his time at San Jose State. Every now and then had a decent season. Wasn't a great hire. Arizona was just kind of forced to do it because Jedd Fisch left so late. I think this marks the end of his tenure there with back-to-back 4-8 seasons. They kind of hit the reset button. New coach, still in a relatively new conference for the Wildcats. The future will be bright. It's just not going to be Brent Brennan at the helm. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. Do not miss out on those. The link for it down in the description below, along with our weekly newsletters as well over on thegridironexpert.com. Free to sign up for. Again, take advantage of it. Become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.